Hey guys, welcome to my first ever TV review here on Midnight Suns. Today we are going to be taking a look at the latest Netflix series that has been making many headlines, mostly for the wrong reasons, and that is Resident Evil. Now I will try to keep this review as spoiler free as possible, so hopefully I don't ruin anything for you if you do decide to watch the series. So just as a disclaimer, I am a Resident Evil fan, but I am not a hardcore Resident Evil fan. I have experience with most of the games, but I'm not really super invested in the Resident Evil world or the lore beyond that. So just bear that in mind as you watch the rest of this review. Now to start, let's talk about what I really loved in this show. First of all, I think all the actors did a really good job portraying their characters, and I think they did the best with the material that they were given. Reddick, of course, is the biggest standout in the show, to nobody's surprise. He just does such a great job portraying the iconic Resident Evil villain Albert Wesker, and I don't even mind that they race swapped him. And you get to see his acting performance really shine in the last couple of episodes when he gets to really show off his range. Especially when we meet a certain character named Bert. Who, by the way, is my favorite character in the show because he's just so hilariously awkward and badass, and I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but when you see it, you'll understand. And speaking of characters who are hilariously awkward and badass at the same time, that brings me to my next favorite character in the show, Umbrella Special Agent Richard Baxter. This guy just comes out of freaking nowhere, tripping over himself and eating potato chips while murdering tons of innocent civilians. He's just such a comically over-the-top villain and I freaking love it. His character is just so absolutely random, and I remember there's even one part in episode 4 where he talks to the protagonist Jade Wesker about SpongeBob SquarePants. And it's just so out of place and freaking hilarious. The unbelievably entertaining characters in this show are easily the highlights for me.
SpongeBob. I freaking love SpongeBob.
Are you fucking serious?
Another thing that I have to praise the show for is that the production design is pretty good. The last 2 episodes in particular are really high budget, with a pretty epic action scene with hundreds of zombies and even a kaiju. The visual effects are pretty great, and the cinematography is also pretty well done throughout the entire series. So I really don't have any complaints when it comes to the visual aspects of the show. But okay, now let's talk about the things that I didn't like so much, which is basically what everyone is talking about. To begin with, I don't think this is Resident Evil. Like, I have experience with many of the games and they were nothing like this show. That's not to say that the script in this show was particularly bad, because I actually think there are quite a few memorable lines in the script. Like when Wesker has this really emotional moment with his daughters where he tells them, life is about doing our best in a world where it's way too easy to do your worst. So you can tell the script is competently written, but the problem is the story as a whole just doesn't feel like Resident Evil. The video games always have this dark, gritty, cool vibe, but this show just feels like a comedy most of the time. There's even a hilarious song and dance routine in the show that is so out of place, and I guess you could say it's so hilariously bad that it's good.
Evelyn?
Beautiful 180, crazy, thinking about the way.
But I don't think this show is necessarily unintentionally funny like a movie like The Room, because it feels like the tone we got in this show is exactly what the creators were going for. This weird dark comedy is exactly what they wanted. It seems like they were purposely trying to make the show funny with many comedic elements, and I think when you realize that, you will be able to enjoy the show a lot more like me. Do not take this show seriously, just enjoy the ridiculousness of it and you'll have a good time. This is not a dark, serious horror zombie show like The Walking Dead. This is an over-the-top, zany, campy, hilarious comedy, and if you are okay with that, then you'll probably enjoy it. But if you are a hardcore Resident Evil fan, I think you will be very disappointed if you expect this to be anything like the games. But if you just look at this show as a standalone series and take away the Resident Evil franchise name from it, I think there is a fun time to be had here. Does that mean that this is as entertaining as the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies? No. Those movies are still far and away more entertaining than what we got in this Netflix series. Oh, and by the way, this is off topic, but Mila Jovovich has some really good music. Definitely give it a listen if you haven't already. Anyway, the creators of this Resident Evil Netflix series make some really weird story choices within the show, and the characters in the story are also constantly making really bad decisions, which makes it really hard for the audience to connect with any of them. Like I mentioned earlier, I think all the characters are well acted by the actors portraying them. But most of the characters just don't feel very likable apart from a few like Baxter and Bert, And I'm not even sure if the creators expected them to become the best characters in the show. So with all that being said, my final rating for this show is a 7 out of 10. But if you're a hardcore fan of Resident Evil, then you can probably cut that score in half. I think the comedy was executed really well and all the actors did a really good job in their roles. I just question some of the story choices taken by the creators. And I'm sure that hardcore Resident Evil fans will not enjoy this series unless they are able to appreciate the comedy in it like me. So thanks again for watching this review guys, stay gold and may we meet again, bye bye.
A little fucking with